Ranch, we had the Colorado Brand Board here today, and we were very fortunate again this year, our 6th anniversary of our convention, to have a representative from Colorado Brand Board. I believe we have the brand commissioner, Rick Wahlert, here. Let's welcome him up here, and he's going to give a little talk and then do some Q&A. Rick?
Thank you, Kimmy. Thank all of you for inviting me to the beautiful plains of eastern Colorado. If I move around a little bit, I'm not used to getting up and doing things. I've sat in an office for the last 4 years, so forgive me for that. I grew up in northeastern Colorado on a ranch, and became a brand inspector in 1986 in Hunter, Colorado. And about 6 months after there, my ex-wife now said, "How long are we going to be here?" And I said, "About another 6 months. I can see an opening and I'm out of here." And 14 years later, after I'd stuck my hand in the air to move to Loveland, I said, "I think I want to call them and stay. I like the country, I always have. I love Colorado. I don't think I'd want to live anywhere else. It's a wonderful state and wonderful people." I really enjoyed my time in Lahaina. I know a lot of you from that area. Moved to Fort Collins for 3 years. As a supervisor, or excuse me, Fort Collins. I was a supervisor up there for 3 years, and then moved to Denver. Wonderful state of Denver, I guess you could call it. It is different, but I've been there ever since 2003. Been the commissioner about 4 years. It's been interesting. It's been a challenge, like everything else. But if nothing else, the brand board's their mission is still to deter theft, but it's to protect your interests and everything else. We are a regulatory agency. We are the only game in town as far as mandatory inspection, but we try to get along with everybody. We try to work. We know what goes on. All of our, I would say 99% of our employees out in the field have all grown up in the livestock industry. They all know what you go through. They go through it themselves. Almost every one of them have calories. So that is something we've always tried to pride ourselves on, because it takes a special person. I can teach somebody how to read the laws, how to write a certificate, how to inspect cattle. But there's something to be said if somebody grows up on a ranch, walk into a pen of cattle, and they ought to be able to spot a stray right away. It's just something that you learn as you go up. So, with that being said, the brand board is, as all of you know, is totally cash funded by the inspection fees, the inspection of cattle, and brand assessment fees. There are no general fund dollars from the state of Colorado that come into our budget. And we're very proud of that fact. Even though we are an agency and we are under the Department of Agriculture, we still, all of our inspectors, all of our people like that very well. We have a five-member board that is all ag industry. 2 of them are producers, 2 are confinement, and the 5th seat is, as it says in the statute, the next largest paying segment of the industry. And right now that is the horse industry. So we have, like I said, 2 cow-calf, 2 confinement, and 1 horse person. And they'll usually work along, they get along pretty good. Look out for the industry, for the benefit of you, the producers and stuff. Brand board's gone along pretty good. We have plenty of money. We have enough to get along. We have more than we planned on 4 years ago when we set the assessments. We thought we'd have about $200,000–300,000 left. We have about $1 million more than that, but there are several factors that interpret into that. One of them is, if you all remember, about 2 years ago, the governor mandated furloughs for all state employees, 8 of them, that all of our employees had to take that, and that there was about $100,000 right there just in mandatory furlough days that we didn't have to pay out to employees. We also have not, we are in the same shape as you are. The state's done a very good job, but none of our employees have had a raise in 4.5 years. So a lot of you have had hard times. Our inspectors have had too. They enjoy the job they've got, but yes, they haven't had, so that's another one. Another part is that the last couple of years, the state has reduced their share of what they pay into the employee's retirement. And it's come out of the employee's part, so that's another, it's 2.5% of their salary that comes out of there that we don't have to pay. They say this, everybody says the state, but the brand board pays for everything. We buy our own trucks, we pay for all of our own bills, we pay for our lawyer fees, we even pay the Department of Agriculture $140,000 a year for the right to be part of the Department of Agriculture. So it's better than most. We do have a cap on our indirect costs. Most everybody else, and I'm guessing at this very hard, just because any of you remember about 2004 when they slipped in a little amendment that took the cap off of us for 3 years. Most everybody else is somewhere in the neighborhood of 15%. We pay 3.6 indirect costs. So for 3 years, ours went up by $400,000 a year. That's the reason we had to raise inspection fees in 2006. So with that, now as I talk along here, I'll get into the board stuff. Any of you got any questions, don't be afraid to stick your hand in the air and ask me, because I know this stuff, like you guys know cattle and stuff, I know my stuff, but once in a while I will leave out a word or a phrase or something that may not make much sense. So don't be afraid to ask a question. Right now the brand board is going through a restructuring process. For a little history of that, why that's come about, and all of a sudden, is that 3 years ago, the state of Colorado came to us and said, you guys are not exempt from overtime. Our employees have not had to do timesheets for the 104 years that we were an official state agency. They said, you are not exempt anymore, is what they called it. The only ones were exempt were myself and 2 of my office staff. That included inspectors, supervisors, everybody else. So I had to start keeping timesheets. And at that time, we had to keep your costs down and everything. When we had certain employees come up for retirement stuff, inspections had changed, we did not replace certain employees in certain areas. We got it covered, it worked all right, everybody was fine with it. About a year later, I noticed there were some trends where maybe we need to put a few people, and we put a couple of temporaries, but I didn't put full-time people in. After 3 years, the timesheets and a couple of things show that we need more employees. I won't say a lot. Right now the restructuring plan calls basically number one, that there will be a supervisor over 7 to 10 employees out in the field. Right now we have 5, they're adding 5 more. Because we have about 60 employees. So that'll work, that's going to be about right. Because right now, until we get supervisors, which sometime is next month, except we have 5 supervisors over about 20 employees, the other 40 fall under the brand commissioner. 2 of those inspectors are in Cortez, Colorado. Now it is just a hop, skip, and a jump to Cortez, Colorado, but I don't know what they're doing all the time and everything else, and be able to take care of some of that stuff, along with the other duties that I have, the phone calls, the legislative stuff, dealing with the department, everything else. So that is one thing. We've added 2 full-time inspectors right now in areas, one of them in Grand Junction, just for an example. There was one there forever. There was a part-time every once in a while, but there was a new sale barn in Loma, Colorado, which is just west of Grand Junction. That sale barn, which runs 2 days a week in the fall, takes 3 days of an inspector's time just at the sale barn. That leaves, if you figure a 40-hour week, that leaves 2 days a week for him to do the rest of the calls in his district, and he has a big district, about as big as what Lahaina has. And Lahaina has 5 inspectors. When I started in '86, there were 6, and a part-time person. So this needed to happen. So we're doing that. Along with that is that the board, myself, and the Department of Agriculture have talked, and they're going to hire a new brand commissioner. They're in the process now. They've got the application in. They've got the qualified applicants. They said that meet the criteria. They're looking at it.